Welfare. It's a rather divisive topic, quite unnecessarily at that. I hear people make erroneous claims about social safety nets all the time, fueled by ignorance and years of right-wing propaganda. So I figured I'd take a moment to come to the defense of those in need.
Yeah, shut up.
I'll begin with the moral imperative to help people, but for those of you that don't think ethics should be considered, I'll follow up with a purely pragmatic argument as well. More often than not, people will say something along the lines of, I have to work so that other people don't, which is an attitude founded purely in childish envy. And the implication here is both that your tax dollars aren't being used fairly, and that everyone utilizing welfare services are doing so simply to avoid employment. These people are under the mistaken impression that welfare recipients are bankrupting the country, an opinion often echoed by the talking heads at Fox News. The reality is that the safety net programs, excluding Social Security pensions, take less than 10 cents of your tax dollar. That's all of them. Food stamps, supplemental security income, child benefits, affordable housing, school lunch programs, you name it. Are you really that greedy that you wouldn't spare 10 cents to help everyone in the nation that's down on their luck? Considering you pay considerably more towards corporate welfare and inflated defense budgets to buy tanks that the military itself has repeatedly admitted they don't want or need, big business is pilfering from the common pot, and yet people are pissed off that the common man is getting a little help?
Yeah, shut up.
So basically, if you think that paying such a tiny fraction of your check towards helping people is some terrible travesty, you might be a whiny little brat child. Morally, you should always help people if you have the means. But I suppose that you're right not to. There is an argument to be made that the government has no business mandating people to be charitable. However, there is a counter-argument that I would make that the benefits come back to you vicariously, and therefore it's a service for you rather than a charity. And the real problem is that there's a perception that more people are abusing the system than are in need, and that's far from the truth. People who abuse the system are in the minority, and on top of that, they're breaking the fucking law. What more can you do than make it against the law? People who use the welfare program legitimately are boxed in. They can't own assets, and they're at the beck and call of the welfare office, where they must accept any job that's presented to them or face getting cut off. Programs in many states, like temporary assistance for needy families, require you to work a minimum amount of hours to be eligible to collect. Here in Canada, it's a little more lenient, but you still have to take any job they offer you. These people have no upward mobility in life, and if they stay on it, it's only because it's meant to be a supplement for low incomes. It's not a permanent vacation where you get to lounge around all fucking day. I think you all know that, otherwise you'd quit your job today, and you would go on welfare. But you don't because you know it fucking sucks. But let's say for the sake of argument that a good fraction of those utilizing welfare programs are capable of working, but don't want to. So fucking what? It's still only 10 cents, bud. Would you deny the people in need just to spite the abusers? And are you suggesting that the government has no right to force you to help your fellow man, but they have a right to force people to work beyond their will to benefit said society? Because that's essentially what we have is a slave system. Instead of saying work or I'll beat you, they say work or you'll fucking starve. It's the exact same concept except for you've replaced fatal force with fatal coercion. People should work to better themselves and to earn luxuries in life. It's unethical to make people work simply not to die. And I could already hear people arguing, typing furiously into their keyboards, oh, it's not the same thing as slavery, and people on welfare aren't contributing. And again I say, so fucking what? People on welfare are having an infinitesimal effect on the economy. And it's not even necessary for 100% of the population to be productive. Why would one concept of productivity be more important than basic humanity? Is the implication that the ends justify the means? Forcing people to work simply for the sake of the nation sounds too Soviet Union-ish to me. Next we'll be setting up gulags and shit. Ethics should always take priority over results. Nobody should be forced to participate in labor beyond their will, and nobody should have to starve as a result of opting out, considering that you have no alternative. There was a day and age where you could just walk out into the fucking woods and find all the food you needed. Now all the land is owned and all the food is spoken for. After taking away your ability to care for yourself on the fat of the land, the least they can do is compensate you for taking that ability away in exchange for your participation in society. But let's say you don't give two shits about ethics or humanity in general. You just don't want to be forced to pay for something you don't agree with. Now, helping people shouldn't be your burden unless you choose to, right? You have a job, so you don't reap any of the benefits. In fact, by helping them, you're making them dependent and therefore enabling them, correct? Well, try thinking of it this way. First of all, reducing poverty helps the economy. Secondly, do you really want people who don't want to work to be forced into the labor pool? These people are either incompetent or unwilling. You really want them making your food or fixing your car when they not only don't care about the quality of their work, they downright resent being there. I, for one, would gladly pay 10 cents to keep these kind of fuckers out of the workplace. They create shoddy products and additional reworking by their coworkers. If anything, having these people stay home is beneficial. There seems to be this absurd idea that if you took away welfare, these people would just suddenly become productive members of society, which is a laughable notion. These kind of people who depend on welfare, whether they truly need it or not, would sooner break into your fucking home and eat your food than find employment. They'd be on the streets mugging people and stealing copper, breaking into cars for loose change and shit. They'd form gangs of vagabonds and raid people in grocery store parking lots. It'd add a ravenous criminal element that is satiated right now, and there is a value to that. And that's just the people unwilling to work, taking into account all the people that legitimately need the helping hand to get back on their feet. And now once they're on the downward spiral, if you remove the safety net completely, they will become one of the aforementioned vagabonds. The Romans invented welfare for a reason, not because they were such wonderful altruistic people, but because it serves a function for society. And unlike Rome, the dole isn't fucking universal, and the expense isn't breaking the bank by any means. It benefits you not to live in a society devoid of welfare, even without the moral imperative, and even if you never collect a dime of welfare yourself. In the same way paying towards socialized medicine, like we do here in Canada, benefits me by not having to step over dying geriatrics on the sidewalk, and I see the value in that.
Shut up.